What's up, everybody? It's your boy K Love, and we are back again and again and again with another episode of the 410 Pod. I hope everybody's doing great on this beautiful Saturday morning. We're 4 days away from Christmas, y'all. I hope everybody has the chance to travel home or, spend time with their family, friends, loved ones, whoever your loved ones are this holiday season. And if not, I hope you have a great holiday season. You know what I mean? We got a lot of football to talk about. Got a lot of football to catch up on. College football playoffs started last night. Started off with a bang, iffy bang kind of. But there's also an exciting week of football, man. Bowl game started this week. I did pretty well in my picks. I would say that. Only pick that I didn't get right was I believe it was Florida game. No, I got the Florida game correct. Let me pull up here. I'm going to pull up here my picks from last week. So, I got the Memphis game correct, got the JMU game correct, got the UNLV game correct. I got the Georgia Southern game wrong. That was the game. Georgia Southern versus Sam Houston. Sam Houston came out there and looked dominant versus those guys. Georgia Southern did not look like they wanted to be there, but I got the Ohio game correct, got the Florida game correct, and I got the Notre Dame game correct last night. And that's what we're going to start off with, that Notre Dame versus Indiana game. First game ever in the first ever 12-team college football playoff setup, and it was a good one. The game started off in dramatic fashion. Very, 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 very dramatic fashion, with two interceptions in the first three drives by each team. Two egregious-looking interceptions and a 98-yard touchdown run by Notre Dame running back Jeremiah Love, which is the longest touchdown scored in this new 12-team format college football playoff setup in history. And this game just got off to a dramatic start, but then the fireworks kind of fizzled from there. The party kind of settled down from there. Specifically for Indiana, then they finally reached the end zone twice at the end of the game, in the final 2 minutes to shrink the margin. But Indiana looked bottled up the whole game, man. Notre Dame's defense dominated. Riley Leonard had a very efficient game. Riley Leonard went 22 for 32 with 201 yards and a touchdown, and added an extra 30 yards on the ground and a touchdown on the ground. So, pregame, Notre Dame's coach in their presser, they talked about how they asked Riley Leonard, like, hey, you're going to have to step up this week. Hey, man, you're going to have to step up. You're going to have to get involved in the run game. Look at them. Got involved in the run game. They executed the game plan, and they came out with a win, right? And moving on to that Notre Dame's defense, they dominated, man. The Irish asked their defense to do the same thing they did in the regular season all the way through Thanksgiving, and that is, carry the team. The defense carried the team once again in the first round of the first ever 12-team format college football playoff. holding Indiana to, technically 3 points, but Indiana got 2 touchdowns in garbage time. And Indiana, like, they held them out of that red zone, out of the goal line zone since the first quarter. You know what I mean? That Indiana hadn't made a red zone trip all the way up into them 2 minutes. And they started the game off hot with the turnover by Xavier Watts, safety. That was, I believe, his 6th interception on the season. Notre Dame's loaded, man, and their defense showed last night. And Notre Dame's defense put a lot of pressure on Curtis Rourke. I thought Curtis Rourke was gonna come in and have a solid outing, but the Notre Dame defensive line had a lot to do with Curtis Rourke's somewhat subpar performance, and Indiana's offensive line, my goodness, as a former offensive lineman, that is hard to watch. The left tackle is getting beat like a drumroll game. Right tackle is getting beat like a drumroll game. So the pocket is collapsing fast on Curtis Rourke, and it leaves no room for Rourke to move around, and he can't really step up into a collapsing pocket, man. He's just going to get sacked or forced into bad throws every single time, and in which it looked like last night. Rourke had, he had a lot of guys open, and all that pressure, he can't get it there. He had a guy beat on the third down on a deep crosshair, and the pressure was in his face and on his back. And he kind of not whiffed on it, but he just put a little too much oomph on it. He had a lot of pressure. He couldn't step up. He couldn't step into that throw. He just kind of let it go because there's a lot of pressure coming in his face. And that touchdown, if he makes that pass there and catches that receiver in stride, which he looks like he was trying to do, I think that game's a little different game. I don't know if you remember what point in the game I'm talking about, but I believe it was in the first half, and it was on the third down, and Curtis Rourke had a deep crosshair, and Notre Dame was in man coverage, and he just slightly missed him. Unfortunate, right? Indiana was the nation's number 2 scoring offense during the regular season, scoring at a raging rate of 43.3 points per game, and they had no chance last night, right? Notre Dame struggled against USC a few weeks ago, but when, they were picked apart through the air, and that shed a little light for Indiana, for a team that is the nation's number 2 scoring offense, but it didn't look like it was enough, and Indiana had an incredible season, but Ohio State and Notre Dame, they pulled the mask off. They pulled the mask off of them boys, and it's funny because the reporters last night in the game, they were talking about how not Notre Dame head coach, Curt Cignetti, the Hoosiers head coach, was, how he was getting the job, in the process of getting the job, right? And he's looking at the schedule, and he told his wife, he was like, this is easily a 10-win season. And then you take a look at Indiana's schedule and who they played. The only team they played that was actually worth, a thought is Ohio State. And then now Notre Dame. They pulled the mask off, though. But they don't need to apologize for making the college football playoffs. They had an 11-1 record, dominated college football this season. They played dominant football for most part of the season. They came up short against Ohio State. Not short, but they kind of, they got whooped. But it was still, nonetheless, an historic season. And a spectacular debut season for Curt Cignetti. And then it ended with a reminder that a program with this history, producing a true national title contender in 1 year simply just isn't realistic. So, they have to take this loss with a grain of salt. And I think Indiana's going to be a very good team next year. I think that they're going to have a good recruiting class coming in. This outing right here, this, Curt Cignetti's, Chris Ignetti isn't a loser. Like he said, Google him. You know what I mean? He's going to be fine. I think Indiana's going to be fine. They're going to bring in another good recruiting class. You know what I mean? They're a championship contender this year. And if Kurt Cignetti retains the staff and retains a lot of his players that he had from this season, I think they'll be set up. I think that they'll be set up for success next year. But nonetheless, Notre Dame moves on to the second round. They move on to play against the University of Georgia in the Sugar Bowl. And these Notre Dame fans, they want Georgia. They want Georgia. I assume Notre Dame wanted Georgia too. Everybody wants a piece at Georgia, man. Everybody wants a piece at Kirby Smart because he's just another extension of the GOAT, Nick Saban. That's going to be an interesting game. It's going to be an exciting game. I'll get into my prediction on that game later on in the week. But congratulations to Notre Dame for defeating the Indiana Hoosiers in the first ever 12-team format college football playoff game, man. It was an exciting one from a Notre Dame fan perspective, but they move on. They move on. They deserve it. They earned it. They dominated in the first win. And they got to play a tough one next round. Very, very, very tough one. Moving on. Today we have number 11 SMU at number 6 Penn State. This game has started 30 minutes ago. I'm recording during the game. I don't know the score at the moment, but Penn State opened up the game as an 8-point favorite, and they have a heavy favorite on winning this game based on the betting books. Over 85% of America bet on Penn State to win this game. I personally think this game is going to be a lot closer than what everyone thinks. You know what I mean? SMU is no slouch, y'all. They're here for a reason. And I don't know if they have what it takes to beat Penn State, but I think it'll be a lot closer game than what people think. So what SMU needs to do, what they need to do to win this game or to make this game at least competitive, they have to run the ball well. They have to run the ball well. Right? Hold on. Before we even get to what they really need to do as from a playing perspective, what they really need to do is adjust to the weather. And they need to adjust to that weather quick. It is Pennsylvania, right off near some water. It's going to be windy. It's going to be cold. It's going to be 27 degrees, about 10 to 20 mile per hour wind chill. It is going to be cold. It is cold up there. I'm from that area, not Pennsylvania, but I'm about an hour and a half from Penn State. It is cold. I know for a fact it is cold. So SMU, I hope you bought your hand warmers. I hope you bought your extra thermos, because it's going to be a cold one, boy. And like I said, they need to establish the run game. Championship teams do two things: run the ball well and stop the run. You have to do those two things if you want to win. Thirdly, adjust to the crowd. All right, you have to adjust to the crowd. This game is going to be loud. There's going to be thousands of white T-shirts in the building. It is going to be a whiteout game at 12 o'clock Eastern. Fortunately, you guys lucked out and didn't have to play at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern, because then the betting books would probably be a 21-point favorite. Let's be honest. Penn State at night, no whiteout. It's hard to win. Even in the daytime, it's hard to win. So, SMU, strap them boots up, Cowboys. Strap them boots up, man. Kevin Jennings, QB Kevin Jennings, SMU QB, is going to need to be a true X factor today. He had a hell of a performance in that Clemson game, rallying his team back late to almost come back in the ACC championship. But he's going to need to play similar, but earlier. Right? What I mean is he's going to have to play the way he did versus Clemson in that second half. He's going to need to play that way from Minute 1 of the first quarter. Minute 15 of the first quarter, I'm sorry. All the way to 0-0-0 in the fourth. He's going to have to play that spectacular all game long. And if the SMU really wants a shot, yeah, they're going to have to lean on him. And he'll lean on him and that run game. SMU defense has been stout in the run game all year versus ACC competition. I don't think they've really, outside of Clemson, which they stuffed in the run game, I don't think they've really seen a true run threat such as Penn State's. Penn State has two premier backs, two backs with over 700 yards. They're going to have to force this game upon Drew Aller, right? They're going to have to stop the run and force Penn State to throw the ball. But that scares me too because Drew Aller is also a very talented quarterback with very talented receivers on the outside and a running back core that can also receive. All right. And they're going to have to win the trenches. SMU will have to win the trenches. All right. Elijah Roberts, who is the best defensive player, arguably on SMU's defense, is going to have to be a force up front today. He's going to have to be a force to be reckoned with up front today. Penn State is down some offensive linemen. He will need to be a force up front today. And moving on to Penn State, Penn State just needs to keep the game plan simple. They don't need to be too exotic. They were kind of exotic in Oregon, but it was working. I love it. But just keep the game plan simple. You're not playing against number 1 Oregon, but you're also not playing against number 200 freaking, Akron or something. You're playing in the playoffs. Keep the game plan simple. Have your shots. Have your potential explosives ready, man. Don't trick yourself out of this game because you're playing SMU. Right? Don't think you have to do way more than what you already have done so far to beat SMU, game planning wise. Right? Stay true to your game. Be balanced. True balanced team. I believe if I was looking at it correctly, Penn State passes and runs the ball nearly 50-50 percentage wise. Don't play yourself out of this game. Run the ball. And take advantage of this home field, man. Please take advantage of this home field. You guys are playing at home. You guys are the second game of the college football playoff ever. And you are playing in a whiteout. Nothing beats Penn State in a whiteout game. And then now that you guys get to have a whiteout in playoff atmosphere, ooh, y'all gonna have to get it done. Y'all are gonna have to get it done. And what's his name? James Franklin. Come on now. You've been here too long, dog. You need to answer up because I don't know why people don't talk about James Franklin not being on the hot seat when Penn State. They don't really win anything. Yeah, they win games every year, but they don't really win much. They haven't won. I don't even know the last time they've been to the playoffs. So, Penn State, don't trick yourself out of this game, dog. It's not going to be complicated. Take advantage of your home field. Keep the crowd in it. Keep them in it by playing sound defense, by containing Kevin Jennings, keeping that run game quiet, keeping it quiet, and then putting pressure on that quarterback. Put pressure on the quarterback. Y'all got a crazy, insane D-line. Insane D-line up there. You know what I mean? And continue to play 11-on-11 football, man. Continue to mix up your sets. Continue to play 11 personnel. Continue to play 12 personnel. In the Big Ten championship game, you guys, Penn State, they came out into some 11 personnel sets where they lined the offensive lineman up at slot and put the tight end at right tackle. You guys got to play that type of game. You got to confuse SMU. But you don't have to do it to the rate where to the rate that you did it against Oregon in the Big Ten championship game, because you were playing against the number one team in the country, and it takes a lot to play the number one team in the country. You're playing against a team that everyone thinks shouldn't even be there. So don't play down to that level. Play up to your highest level. Penn State, that is what it will take for you guys to win. Now, some things to note about this game, right? Penn State has struggled against some weaker competition this year, right? Playing in some really close games against some teams that are sub 500. But obviously they pulled out with the win because, the better team is probably going to win at the end of the day. But still, that's a note to, something to make note of. And Penn State will have to not play down to their competition, right? Like they did in the regular season. It's a playoff game at home. Go crazy. And some players to watch, right? SMU's entire defense. I don't have one particular person to point out on their defense, but their entire defense is, you're going to have to watch them today. It's going to be up to them to keep them in the game, because Penn State's defense is going to be rattling that SMU offense, and the SMU defense is going to have to carry a little bit more of the load today. And let's see how they pan out against a Big Ten offense, right? SMU Kevin Jennings, you will have to play a clean game today, and you're going to have to start fast. You're going to have to start fast today. Penn State's Nick Singleton, running back Nick Singleton, you're going to have to get hot. You're way better back than what the stats show. Obviously, you're sharing carries right now, but you're going to have to get hot. You're going to have to get going early, Nick. And Tyler Warren, Penn State's, I believe, top 2 leading receiver on the team. Tight end, Tyler Warren, excuse me. And they're going to have to get him involved early as well, right? Like I was saying earlier, you're going to have to mix in some 11 and some 12. And you're going to have to flex him out, keep him in line, you know what I mean? Wing him out, mix it up. Keep Tyler Warren on the field, keep him active, get the ball to the ball to one of your best receiving targets and let him work. Scheme him up, scheme him open. I don't think SMU has enough to cover him. Not a lot of teams in the Big Ten did, so I don't think SMU really does either, right? And that's all I got for the SMU versus Penn State game today. I think it's going to be a really good one. I think Penn State is going to come out on top. Penn State will come out on top at home versus the number 11 SMU Cowboys. Now, moving on to a very, how should I call this game? I wouldn't say heavyweight matchup, because Clemson, it's number 12 Clemson at number 5 Texas. That game will be on today at 3 p.m. Eastern time. Texas opens up as a 13-point favorite. And according to ESPN Analytics, Texas has an 80+% chance to win against Clemson today at home. Oh, man, this is going to be a good one. This is going to be a good game. This is going to be a very good game. It's going to be a game where mistakes will be made. A lot of mistakes will be made on both sides. And I'm talking about offensively. It's an interesting game, too, because Cade Klubnik and Quinn Ewers, I believe it was back in 2020 or 2019, they played against each other in the Texas Six-Day State Championship, and Ewers, I believe, came out on top in that game, and now they're rematching in the first ever college football playoff game. And that's pretty interesting. It's pretty cool. I think Texas is going to come out on top here. Texas is a true heavyweight team. They have pieces everywhere. They have depth everywhere. They have a very solid coaching staff. Still not a fan of Sark, obviously. I'm giving a very high praise right now to Texas as an OU fan. But I'm a football fan as well. I know football. I love football. I'm not going to be oblivious to, good football when I see it. Texas plays really good football when they play clean, right? When they play up to their standard, right? They have to come out fast. They have to come out clean, right? They cannot come out lackluster at all versus Clemson, because Clemson will take advantage of them. They will. Clemson is not a slouch either. You know what I mean? Texas is going to have to, oh man, they're going to have to not do what they did against Clemson, and that's throw a lot of interceptions. Quinn Ewers, right? Quinn Ewers, you have to play clean. You're getting your starting O-line back. Your starting left tackle is coming back, and you're going to be protected today. I believe you're going to be protected. Texas has one of the best offensive lines in the country. I think Quinn Ewers is going to be protected today. I don't think he's playing, nearly as good as a defensive line as what Georgia's defensive line was. But Clemson's defensive line is, they're no slouch either. But it's still worth to note that Texas is getting back their offensive linemen. They've been playing with some banged up guys all season, rotating guys in and out all season long. But this is a very crucial time for them to come back, right? Still playing against a solid D-line in Clemson's. But they cannot get dominated up front like they did against UGA. If they get dominated against Clemson up front, this is going to be a long game, a long day for Texas fans, long day for Texas players and coaches and anybody affiliated with the University of Texas. So, like I said, Texas, you will have to get that ground game going. You're going to have to get your O-line hot. You're going to have to win your one-on-ones up front. Up front, they're going to have to communicate. They're going to have to be nastier than nasty. It's a home playoff game environment. So, you're going to have the juice. The juice is going to be flowing through that stadium. Now, all y'all got to do is show up and do it, man. Show up and do what you've been doing all regular season, and that is playing dominating football, right? Do what you did to us. Shoot. You know what I mean? And Sark has to force the run game. He has to take pressure off of Quinn Ewers. And like I was just saying, like, you're getting your offensive line back, Sark, so the run game can be there today. It's going to be there. Get Quintravion Weiser involved. Get Jaden Blue involved. Those are two premier running backs that you have in that backfield, right? Obviously, you're missing Cedric Baxter, but you still have two more running backs that could be Cedric Baxter. Get them involved. Take the pressure off of Quinn Ewers today. Take the pressure off of Quinn Ewers today and see how far y'all can get. I promise you, Quinn Ewers ain't a bad QB, man. He just, when he's forced to go win a game, he ain't that, right? And it brings up that game manager versus game changer topic. Quinn Ewers ain't a game changer. He's a game manager. Get him a run game. He's got the receivers around him. Isaiah Bond might not be playing today. I just previously heard them talking about that on ESPN. That's going to be a big loss, but Texas is still loaded, man. They got the Golden Kid. You still got two running backs, and you got the tight end, Gunnar Helm. You got a lot of talent on that offense. Isaiah Bond is a huge miss right now, but I don't think it'll be enough to say that Texas is going to lose to Clemson just because of Isaiah Bond's not being able to go. Clemson. Clemson's facing an intimidating Texas secondary. Clay Klubnik is going to be throwing against a Thorpe winner and a AP All-American back there. The Thorpe winner is cornerback Jahdae Barron. The safety Michael Taffy is the second team AP All-American guy I was talking about. And Dabo Swinney's going to have to get that run game going too. They're both going to have to get the run game going, because on the last episode, I talked about Clemson's run game and what they'll need to do in the playoffs if they want to win. Because in the game versus SMU, Phil Maffa, I'm pretty sure, didn't really do much of anything. And I was saying that they need to, if they want to win in this college football playoffs, and especially against a team like this, who has a stout defense, they're gonna have to run that ball. Phil Maffa had 1,200 yards on the year. 1,200 yards on the year, or nearly 1,200 yards in the year. Excuse me. But his production dropped off over the last month, with the injury. But if he's hurt, man, I get it. He's your best player on offense. But get him out of there. Take the load off of him. Make sure he's healthy. I hope he's healthy for this game because they're going to need him healthy for this game. They're going to need that production he had, through the first, about 8 games. They're going to need that production from him. The 120, 140-yard game. They're going to need that today. They're going to need an efficient run game against one of the country's toughest run defenses. And Phil Mafia is really my only player to watch in this game. He's my only player to watch. I guess you could throw Quinn Ewers on there because Mr. Interception Machine in the big games, man. Oh my goodness, he's an interception machine. Phil Mafia is my player to watch in this game. We just need a solid game from him if they want to have a chance at winning this game. Clemson will need to create explosives. Explosives meaning plays of 20-plus yards. They need to create explosives because Texas is a top 5 defense versus stopping explosive plays. Versus the explosive play. Right? I believe they're ranked number 3 in explosive plays allowed. And it's a low number. Very, very low number. And Clemson is going to have to find a way to find holes in that Texas defense that mixes it up between man and zone because they have a very, very, very dynamic defensive, roster. So Clemson is going to have to, they're going to have to find a way. They're going to have to find a way today. It is not looking good for Clemson. I think Texas will cover that 13.5 if Quinn Ewers does what he needs to do. If he does what he needs to do and not throw the game away with interceptions, I think that Texas has a very high chance of covering that 13.5 point spread. But some facts, something to note is that Texas scored just 1 touchdown in those 6 quarters versus UGA. Texas tackle Kelvin Banks Jr., who won the Lombardi Award and the Outland Trophy, he missed that SEC championship game with an ankle injury, but he's expected to play today, like I noted, that Texas O-line is getting back healthy. Cade Klubnik has 33 passing touchdowns on the year. And Texas has surrendered just 4 passing touchdowns all season. All season. Keep that in mind today while you're watching the game. Clemson's kicker, Nolan Hauser, booted a 56-yard game winner against SMU in the ACT championship. And Texas's kicker is struggling. Keep that in mind, right? Texas kicker Bert Auburn is just 6 of 13 on field goal attempts beyond 40 yards. So, if Clemson can stay in this game, their defense has to keep them in this game, and they have to find a way to run the ball. The defense has to keep them in the game, and they have to find a way to run the ball. Keep Texas out of field goal range. Keep them out of field goal range because, as I just stated, their kicker's 6 of 13, is kicking under 50% on kicks over 40 yards. This is a winnable game, Clemson. This is a very, very winnable game. And y'all going to have to bring it down to Texas, baby. This game starts at 3 o'clock Eastern, 2 o'clock Central Time. I will be tuning into this game. I do have Texas winning. Do I have them covering? Maybe. I might have them covering. I don't know if I have them covering 14 points. I think it'll be more like 8. I think it'll be a closer game. No, I'm taking that back. I got them covering. I've got Texas covering today in the 13.5 point spread, and I got Texas winning. It's gonna be a good one though. I hope Clemson shows up and gives us a good game today, because I do not want to see another outing like yesterday where it was, pretty sloppy in the beginning and then it was just kind of clear one-sided after that. And I think, like I said, it's going to be a real good game today. I hope y'all enjoy that game too. Moving on to the number 9 Tennessee at number 8 Ohio State. Now, here we go. This might be the game of the day right here. This game takes off at 7 o'clock Eastern time. It takes place in Ohio State, in the boot, in the shoe. Sorry, the shoe, not the boot. Ohio State opens up as a 7-point favorite, and Ohio State will be seeking redemption in its first round playoff game Saturday night in the frigid horseshoe. And Will Howard has his chance to has a chance to right the wrongs this weekend. He has a chance to right his wrongs this weekend. This is a heavyweight match. I think this is a heavyweight match. This is probably the most heavyweighted match of this weekend. And it's going to be an exciting, cold game. It's going to be a cold game. And what do they say? The game's going to be after one where? In the trenches. This game will need to start in the trenches. They're going to need to start in the trenches. They will. Ohio State, 10-2. They're a top 5 team for most of the season and is still reeling from a 4th straight loss to, the team up north, Michigan. And a loss to Tennessee will really only add for calls for fans, call from fans to, for Ohio State to fire Ryan Day. So, like I said, Ohio State's going to be seeking redemption in this first round game. And they deserve to be here. They do deserve to be here. And Ryan Day had been in interviews all week talking about how, a lot of the interviewers were asking if, they earned to be if they earned the right to be here after the loss to Michigan or if they deserve to be here. It's yes. They deserve to be there. They're 10-2. They dominated college football this year despite 2 losses. Right? And it's a brand new start for them. And like Ryan Day said in the interview, their guys recognize that now. They've recognized the fact that they've earned the opportunity to play in the playoffs. Right? Forget the Michigan game. Flush it. Like I said, flush it. It's over. That game is 2 weeks out now? Almost 3 weeks? Forget that, man. We don't care about that game no more. I mean, they do. Ohio State fans do, but as a football fan, I don't care about that game anymore. It's Tennessee week. It's Tennessee week, man. But back to the trenches, both O-lines are very banged up. They're very banged up. Ohio State has had to reshuffle his offensive line several times in the second half of the season due to injuries. The Buckeyes lost their starting left tackle Josh Simmons versus Oregon early on in the season, and then his replacement Zach Mikowski went down in the very next game. And then the biggest blow really came in late November when Seth McLaughlin, the eventual winner of the Remington Award given to the best center, tore his Achilles. So Ohio State has faced some brutal offensive line injuries this season, and it's been kind of prevalent. The run game was really non-existent versus Michigan. And Ohio State's a pretty balanced team when it comes to their play calling. They're almost 50-50. They're 49-51 when it comes to run pass. And Seth McLaughlin's absence was, noticeable as they struggled to run the ball against Michigan. And Tennessee has one of the best defensive lines in the country, led by defensive end James Pierce. He's a potential first rounder. And they have a pair of 300-pound D tackles on the inside, Bryson Eason and Amari Thomas. And Tennessee's 5th in the nation in both scoring and total defense, and the number 1 third down defense in the country, and the number 1 red zone defense in the country. Offensive coordinator Chip Kelly said, so we're playing a formidable defense coming in here. Chip Kelly, my question is what are you going to do about that, man? I feel like Chip Kelly's play calling gets so stale at points, and that's why he's been bouncing around and hasn't really found somewhere where he could flourish since Oregon. Chip Kelly, welcome back. You're in the college football playoffs, Chip. Last time you were here, I think you won a national title. So, with that being said, Chip Kelly, jump in your freaking bag, dude. Do not call a stale game. If you call a stale game tonight, you guys are going to lose. You're going to get fired. Ryan Day's going to get fired. Everyone's getting fired. Everyone deserves to be fired. If y'all go in there and call a stale game at home in a playoff environment where you are favored to win. You're favored to win. Now, moving back to the defensive side of the ball, Ohio State's defense is led by two dominating edge rushers this year, Jack Sawyer and JT JT. That's what we're going to call him for now, JT. They both combined for 21 sacks on the year. Impressive. So they're going to have to be very, very prevalent in this game. Tennessee's offensive line does not look very good. They aren't very healthy either. But they run a lot of games. Like their veer and shoot offense, this veer and shoot offense Tennessee runs, where they run the wide splits. There's a lot of quick game, a lot of RPO game, a lot of screen game. It's gonna be hard for Ohio State's defense to really get off this ball, because they're gonna have to play running pass every single down. They're gonna have to play the screen every single down, because Tennessee is they get the ball out quick, and then when they get out, when they take their shots, they have speed on the outside. They have speed at the receiving position. They just get open quick. So Ohio State's DBs, Igbo, Caleb Downs back there, what's his name? Can't think of his name. He's been there for years right now, but they're gonna have to be locked in today, because Tennessee's offense is just it's complicated. It's complicated to get down. You're gonna have to be on your P's and Q's. You're gonna have to play your keys, because one wrong move, and that speed is right behind you, bro. One wrong move, you're gonna be looking at an orange jersey from behind running into the end zone. So Ohio State's defense is gonna have to come in today locked and loaded, stay on their P's and Q's, and put Tennessee in situations to where they have to get into longer development plays, right? Give Ohio State defense, give yourself a chance on first and second down to get into a third and long, to where your edge rushers and your interior pressure can get some reps actually teeing off on this Tennessee offensive line that is brutally hurt. Because we know Tennessee's going to come in trying to run quick game, trying to run the ball, trying to get physical up front, try to confuse the second level, confuse the DNs. They're going to try to pinpoint these DNs and put the pressure on them this game. I feel like that's what they should do, especially with the veer and shoot wide split offense that they run. Put the pressure on those DNs this week. How bad do they want it? Can they contain? Are they going to be disciplined and, squeezing when they getting run away, or, you know what I mean? Put pressure on that front seven today. Put pressure on the front seven today, Tennessee. And Ohio State, your front seven will have to be locked in with y'all eyes all day long. All day long. Right? My next question is, can Ohio State get their run game going? Ohio State's run game going has kind of slowed down. Ohio State's run game is, I don't know. I don't know what they try to do with it. The two-back system, it worked in the first half of the season, and then it had its sprouts in some games, and then there were games like the Michigan game where, it just died. It died. The run game would die. Put Will Howard in a shitty position. forced Will Howard to be in a position to where he had to try to win the game, which he's not there to do. You know what I mean? Another one of those game managers. Judkins and Henderson must have a day. They must have a day. And that's the same thing goes for Tennessee's run game too. Right? But we're not talking about Tennessee's run game yet. But if you want Will Howard to play well, that run game got to be on. That run game has to be on. And that goes for, that really goes for a lot of quarterbacks. That goes for really any offense, any quarterback, really. Because when you're running the ball, man, you're forcing bodies into that box. Opening up space for your receivers to, run routes, create shots. Which Ohio State will need to do today. They're gonna have to force the run game early on. Right? Force this game to be very physical. It's going to be cold. Tennessee going to be cold. All them Southern boys, all them West Coast boys on that team, it's going to be cold for them. Force the run game today, Ryan Day. Force it. Force it, dog. And my next question is, can Nico get the job done in a hostile environment, in the freezing cold, in a playoff environment? Like, can he get it done? Can he get it done? Right? Tennessee, University of Tennessee fans, they travel well. And I've been reading all over the place, they've been working hard to get more than 3,500 tickets to this game tonight. And it's only a few hour drive, really. It's not really a long drive. It's about 5 hours, maybe 6, to get up there to Ohio State. And Nico, you're gonna have to block out everything. You're gonna have to block out everything. You're gonna have to try to. I mean, you've played in the SEC. It's hostile environments every week. Every week, shitty team or really good team, it's a hostile environment almost every week. So you're gonna have to show up today, Nico. And I'm putting the pressure on Josh Heupel to get that running back, Dylan Sampson, going today. Get him going. Get him going. Help Nico out. Help your young QB out in the playoff environment. Because if that run game ain't going, Nico's going to struggle today. If Dylan Sampson does not have a day or have, somewhat of an efficient outing tonight, and I'm talking 4.5 yards a carry, 4 yards a carry, at least 15 carries today. Help Nico out, man. Help him out. Get that thing going. Get that thing going. And Tennessee's had a knack for making big plays all season when backed up in its side of its own 20, right? And the Ohio State defense is stout, like I said. So Tennessee's going to be backed up a whole lot this game, and they're going to be facing a lot of noise. Nico, you're going to be hearing a lot of noise. And show up. Y'all going to have to show up today. Just show up, dog. Tennessee's forced turnovers at the goal line or in the end zone 4 times this season. That's something also to note. They've got an AP All-SEC cornerback, Jermod McCoy, and he had an interception in the end zone, back in the game versus Alabama. So, in another in the game versus Vandy, and he leads the team with 4 picks on this season. Tennessee has guys. Ohio State has guys. It's just going to be a game of who wants this shit more. Who wants this more, man? Because, it's a heavyweight. It's a heavyweight battle, man. 10-2 versus 10-2. 8 versus 9. Hostile. Nighttime, primetime game. Primetime game, dog. Who's going to show up? Who's going to show out? I got Ohio State, and I have Ohio State covering the 7-point spread. If Ohio State loses, fire Ryan Day. That's all I really got to say about that. Moving on to some flock talk, y'all. Ravens football. We are about to move on to our last segment of the day, flock talk. Baltimore Ravens go against the Pittsburgh Steelers, first place Pittsburgh Steelers. we have a chance. We have the opportunity to potentially take over the first place crown today with a win over the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Pittsburgh Steelers with a win over the Ravens today have a chance to win the division. Quite simply, win the division today. It's a divisional game, man. It's a 2 chin strap game. It's an AFC North divisional game. It's gonna be cold. It's gonna be loud. It's gonna be a lot of people there. This is really a must win on both sides of the ball. Baltimore, we've struggled versus the Steelers in the last 8 to 9 games. But most of those games are really due to, except this last one this season, except the first game this season, most of those losses are really due to the lack of roster, bodies on the roster, the timing of those games, really. Lamar Jackson didn't play in most of those games, as most of those games were week 16 games, week 17 games, and we had already won the division by then. But this Pittsburgh Steelers team is still no slouch. It's the Steelers. It's going to be a nutty, nuts and bolts game. It's going to be a gritty game. Pittsburgh has come to Baltimore in the final weeks of the season twice in the past 3 seasons, and they've beat us to sneak in the playoffs those last, two out of the 3 times. And we have to, this is going to be the first time that we actually play them full strength at the end of the season. I'm talking last 2 to 3 weeks. And this game is a big deal on both sides. So both sides are going to have to show up today. And I want to specifically talk about the Ravens. We have to run the ball today, guys. We have to run the ball at an alarming rate. We have to slow down TJ Watt. We have to slow down Alex Highsmith. I was watching some film on this game yesterday, watching some All-22 on the game, the first outing yesterday, and it looks like, Pittsburgh came out in a lot of one-high looks. Forcing us to throw the ball. Right? Their goal was to eliminate Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson from this game in the run game. Force us to play 9-on-11 football. Right? Force us to get into pass game. Well, I think, the thing to stop that in the run game, what we really did well is run a lot of outside zone against Pittsburgh. And I think that is going to have to work. We're going to have to put the pressure on TJ Watt. We're going to have to put the pressure on Alex Highsmith. I don't give a shit who they are, really. Run the ball at them. Offensive line, nut up. Our offensive line is going to have to play a sound game today. It is simply on our offensive line today. Simply on them. We are going to have to slow down TJ and Highsmith, right? It's looking like Ogunjobi might not be playing today. TJ Watt is still banged up. Who else? Right? Deshaun Elliott will be out. He comes downhill and fills in the run really well. Where Minka plays that one high safety. He's usually that one high guy. And Elliott comes down and plays in the box, plays that strong sort of rover position. We have to take advantage of this, Baltimore, and the run game is going to have to be. The running game is going to have to be more than efficient today. We're going to have to force it because on our side, we're going to be missing. Well, we're not going to be missing too many bodies out there. We're just going to be missing Amore Davis on defense and Aguilar on offense, but we're healthy. We're so healthy right now. So we're going to have to take advantage of an unhealthy Steelers team like they have done against us over the past 4 to 5 years and run the freaking football with the best running back in the league, and the best running quarterback in the history of the NFL. Help Lamar out, man. In that last game, we held the Steelers to 0 touchdowns. They beat us in field goals. They literally beat us in field goals. So, if we go out there and just finish drives, because we didn't finish drives in the first game. a lot of empty red zone possessions in that first game. We have to finish drives this week, and we have to finish drives at an alarming rate. This is a home game, like I said, so it's gonna be rocking. I know Baltimore gonna be rocking. I know we gonna be rocking down there. So we have to take advantage of that from an offensive standpoint, right? We have to be ready to adjust. I think Pittsburgh is still gonna come back out. They ran a lot of match and man coverage. It's basically the same thing, and then they did a lot of spot drop cover 3, right? When you, for all of you football fans that, don't really know the game of football like that, don't know football terminology, right? When defenses come out in a one high look, 9 times out of 10, you're getting 2 things. You're going to get cover 1 man, which means everyone underneath is going to be man, potential robber player who plays a, middle of the field zone. And then you have your one high safety who plays that, he just has his perimeter, his divider rules. And match or cover 3, it's just zone, spot drop, right? Match basically is cover 3, and then depending on the defense, it turns into man after so many yards. So they manned us up a whole lot, right? They tested our receivers. They said, can y'all get open? Can y'all catch contested catches all game? We couldn't, and that's why we lost. We're the better team. We are on paper. The better team. And we have to show up and do what it takes to actually be the better team on the field. And that is executing on offense at an alarming rate, which we have done all season besides against the Steelers. And that seems like year in, year out. What we have to do on defense, whatever we did on defense in that first game, Zach Orr, continue to keep calling great games. You have gotten better over the season. It started off so scary. Ravens fans were calling for your head. I wasn't calling for your head. I just wanted you to call better plays. Put us in better situations. If our defense was horrendous, where we're giving up 40 a game or something like that, then obviously I'm going to probably be call for your head. But also, our defensive players have to look at it. They got to look at themselves in the mirror. We've had a lot of empty opportunities out there, and we hadn't been playing complementary football as a defense, for that first 6 weeks of the season, dropping, coming up short on interceptions, just giving up touchdowns late, and just not playing complementary football. And if they continue to do that, especially in a game like today, where George Pickens will be out for the Pittsburgh Steelers, which is a big loss for the Steelers. Tremendous loss. That's their best weapon. They're gonna be missing him. We won't have to worry about Justin Fields potentially getting a game, so we'll primarily be seeing Russell Wilson. I'm sorry. They're missing their starting guard. They're missing one of their tackles. So we're going to have to take advantage of this defense. And we shut them down last time, right? George Pickens still had a really good game. Not going to have to worry about George Pickens. So, DBs, I assume, I hope we get into a lot of man defense today. I believe that our DB room is way better than Pittsburgh's wide receiving core. I don't think, Van Jefferson. I don't think Van Jefferson, Calvin Austin, and then whomever else they have in that receiving core can really do much with us at this point in the season. Our defense has awakened. I would love to see some Marcus Williams action. I don't know what's the deal with him. We kind of benched him, and then really, he just, he was just out after that. We just haven't seen him. I get that Adarius Washington is playing out of his mind, but still, I would love to see Marcus Williams back on the field, right? We paid him a shit ton of money for a reason. Get his ass back out there, Baltimore. John Harbaugh needs to get his freaking head out of his ass and stop benching players and fucking getting in his feelings about players, man. We got a Super Bowl to win. We have talent on this team, and you want to be in your freaking feelings and putting people in a doghouse. I that's the one thing I don't like about Harbaugh is that doghouse bullshit. He needs to give that up. He needs to give it up if he wants to win another Super Bowl in his tenure with the Ravens. So Baltimore, that's it. That's it. Go win the freaking game at home. You have playoff implications on the line. You cannot lose any more games. You just can't. You cannot lose any more games. And hold on, one more thing for the defense, on a defensive standpoint, right? Two more things, but it's tied into each other. We have to get Brandon Stephens off the field. Get Brandon Stephens off the field until he learns how to turn his head around in coverage. He looks like the best corner in the NFL all the way up until the ball is thrown his way. He has insane feet, footwork, coverage skills, hips and all the tangibles until the ball is right there at him. Never gets his head around. He is one of the most penalized corners in the league over the last 2 years in pass interferences. Get your fucking head turned around, Brandon Stephens, man. I know I'm not a corner dog, but I'm a ball knower though. I coach defense. I know what it's supposed to look like. Get your fucking head turned around, dog. Stop giving up 15 yards, 20 yards, a penalty. You know what I'm saying? If you turned your head around, you could have 18 picks this year probably. But no, you're the 99th ranked quarterback out of 115 corners on PFF. So, I would like, and then with also to add on to that, which brings me to my second point. We have to get Trey White and we have to get Nate Wiggins on the freaking field. We got to get them on the field. We have to. I mean, it's a must. A must. Man, because they're pure lockdowns. We can be aggressive to a day like today where Pittsburgh is lacking the receiving production. They're going to be relying on Mike Williams, right? Van Jefferson and Calvin Austin. Can they get that? Can they get it done with that? Yes, but when you look at it, Mike Williams is ranked 109 out of 128. Calvin Austin is 70 out of 128, and Van Jefferson is 107 out of 128 at their position. We have the advantage. Take advantage of the advantage, if that even makes sense. But take advantage of this, dog. We have an opportunity to take over the division, knock Pittsburgh down to 10-5, and we go up to 10-5 ourselves. And then we have to have a really quick turnaround, which, fuck you NFL for that, for having a game forcing these dudes to go play another game in 4 days. That's just inhumane. You guys have to do something about that because that is just dumb. It's dumb. It's not safe. It isn't safe. If I was the Ravens, I wouldn't even play my starters next week. But we need to win these games. Unfortunately, we didn't do what we had to do in the first 13 weeks before the bye week. So now we got to play in these ridiculous situations. The NFL, I feel like, is trying to set teams up for failure in the playoffs. Because shoot, I can already see who they writing the script for right now. The Bills. They ain't got to play these many games in a few days span. But guess who does? The Chiefs and the Ravens. The Chiefs and the Ravens do. It's kind of ridiculous, man. It's pretty ridiculous. But with that being said, though, Baltimore has a great opportunity today to come in and dominate this game, right? And like I was saying about all the college teams, stop the run, run the ball. Stop the run, run the ball. Keep Najee Harris under wraps because he's going to get used and abused today. He will be used and abused today. Y'all best believe that, right? In a game where Pittsburgh doesn't have any receivers, just expect it to rely on Najee Harris. And, man, it's been another great episode, guys. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. And I hope you guys, like I said, get a chance to watch some football this weekend. I hope you guys had a chance to watch football this week. And we got some more exciting NFL and college football all next week. We got Christmas football coming up next week as well. We're going to have another episode of the 410 pod dropping sometime this week before the game on Wednesday. I'll be aiming for Monday or Tuesday for the next episode to release. This episode will be going right up. It'll be premiering on YouTube right after I edit it today. But with that being said, it's been another great episode. I hope everyone enjoyed. Make sure you like, make sure you comment, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you subscribe, dog. Subscribe, dog. But yeah, like, comment, subscribe. I appreciate everybody's support. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. And have a blessed weekend, y'all. Have a blessed day. And it's been a real one. And I'm out.
Big beats.